Spider-Man is back.
Awesome!
After the tragic ending of Infinity War, a lot of us were worried about the future of our favorite web-slinger. But Tom Holland returns in this fresh trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home. Although, it may leave you with more questions than answers.
What just happened?
Does Far From Home take place before or after Avengers Endgame? Who are the villains in this movie? And who's Jake Gyllenhaal supposed to be playing? To start, Spider-Man Far From Home appears to take place after the events of Avengers Endgame. Sony producer Amy Pascal revealed that Spider-Man Far From Home takes place just a few minutes after the end of Endgame. That makes this trailer extra special, being the only way to get a peek at the world after Endgame premieres this April. And let's be honest, we're all curious who's going to survive the Mad Titans invasion. So let's take a closer look. A lot of familiar faces make a return in this trailer. Marissa Tomei returns as Aunt May, who discovered Peter Parker's secret at the end of Homecoming. Aunt May seems to have adjusted to Peter's alter ego as the two play a part in running a homeless shelter, a storyline from both the comics and the PS4 video game. Jon Favreau is back as Happy Hogan, who was a big part in the first film. He shows up with a check from Synchrony Bank, a little nod to the actual bank that issues Marvel credit cards. And it seems that Aunt May and Happy Hogan might just be more than friends.
New dress?
Yes, it is. How'd you know?
What just happened?
The trailer also nods to a character we're all familiar with, but have never seen in the MCU. Uncle Ben, hinted at by the initials on the suitcase that Peter brings to Europe. Peter's not alone on his trip to Europe. Zendaya returns as Michelle MJ Jones, the movie's version of Mary Jane Watson. It appears that MJ will be Peter's love interest, as their romance is heavily foreshadowed throughout the trailer.
I just want to spend some time with MJ. I think she really likes me, dude.
And Flash Thompson, who just like in the comics bullies Peter Parker, but ironically admires Spider-Man as a hero.
What, he looks out for the neighborhood, has a dope suit, and I really respect him. Sup, dickwad?
And of course, how can we forget Peter's best friend Ned?
Awesome!
Which leads to our first surprising reveal, the return of Nick Fury. Considering Fury died after the events of Infinity War, it seems like the character will be brought back to life. And judging by his first words,
"So nice to finally meet you, Spider-Man."
It seems as though they do not encounter each other in Endgame. And is this figure next to Fury, Maria Hill, also brought back from the dead? Or someone else entirely? A character obviously missing from the trailer is none other than Tony Stark, who was heavily featured with Spider-Man in both his first appearance in Civil War and Homecoming. And this line from Hogan,
You're all alone.
sounds quite ominous. Could this be hinting at the death of Tony Stark in Avengers Endgame? Or maybe it's just Marvel trying to throw us off the plot. Whatever happens, the future doesn't look so promising for Iron Man. Also featured in the trailer are the many suits Peter wears during his trip in Europe. In the beginning, Peter wears the classic red and blue suit that we saw in Homecoming. Of course, things don't go according to plan as Nick Fury makes an appearance to set Peter on a mission. We see two main suits featured in the trailer. One suit that closely resembles the classic suit but with a darker palette, and wings. The same wings we only briefly saw in Homecoming are now featured more prominently, seemingly allowing Peter to effortlessly glide through the sky. We also get a better look at the Noir suit from the Spider-Man Noir series set in 1933, also featured recently in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, voiced by Nicolas Cage. Judging by the nighttime setting, maybe this is the suit of choice when the job requires stealth over, well, aesthetics. It was long rumored that a group of villains known as the Elementals were going to make an appearance in the film. The Elementals first made an appearance in the series Supernatural Thrillers and are composed of 4 extra-dimensional villains who each control different elements. Hellfire, who controls fire, Hydron, who controls water, and Magnum, who manipulates earth and rock. The only one missing is Zephyr, who has the power to control air. But Zephyr's presence is possibly hinted at by this lightning when they attack the London Bridge. These villains, however, could also be Sandman, Molten Man, and Hydro Man, other supervillains who also control different elements to fight against Spider-Man. This is hinted at by these numbers on the boat behind Ned, ASM 212, alluding to the Amazing Spider-Man issue 212, where Hydro Man makes his first appearance. Whether the villains are really the Elementals or someone else, we'll have to wait and see. Last, but most importantly, we finally get our first look at Mysterio, one of Spider-Man's main villains, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Fans of the original comic will be happy to see him in the fishbowl helmet featured in the comics. The only difference is that it seems as though Mysterio is on Spider-Man's side, fighting against the bad guys. There have been numerous rumors about Nick Fury teaming Spider-Man up with Mysterio to fight the Elementals, and Mysterio being a complex, morally ambiguous villain. So, how does Mysterio go from fighting alongside Spider-Man to fighting against him? Or, to speculate a bit, is it possible that the Elementals are actually just an illusion created by Mysterio, whose main power in the comics is creating illusions to deceive his enemies? A similar storyline was featured in the animated series of Spider-Man, where Mysterio used illusions to manipulate the city, painting Spider-Man as the villain and himself as the hero. Could this possibly be what we're seeing in the trailer? It seems like Peter's friends are convinced that he's a hero.
Who is that guy?
He's like Iron Man and Thor rolled into one.
Are you convinced? So, what did you think about this trailer? What are your theories and speculations? Leave it in the comments, and see you at the theaters in July.